Cassi Eubank and the Spiritual Entrepreneurs Alliance present Elevate and Evolve, the show that will transform your mind, body, soul, and business. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Elevate and Evolve. I'm really excited because we have a very special guest today. Not only is she a dear friend of mine, but she's a wealth of information on how to stay well. Now, we all know about eating well, moving our bodies, taking the right supplements for what's going on with us. However, there is one thing we don't always look at: posture and spinal alignment, and how that works and ties into being your very, very best. Now, when I first met Lisa, she told me, yes, I'm a posture specialist, and she is absolutely phenomenal. But then I asked her to share a little bit about that in front of a group at a Duffy's. And the things she told me blew my mind, because we all know that when it comes to life, we can have the best mindset in the world. We can stay seeped in gratitude. We can be looking for things to be grateful for. But if our body isn't working right, then we always turn our attention inwards. It's just a natural thing to kind of reflect in. And one of the things that we don't realize, especially as we're aging, is that our muscles get weaker. And if we don't exercise the muscles that keep us in perfect alignment, then what's going to happen is our whole system gets off. It can affect our nerves. It can affect, you might have something where you're slumping over and that's affecting your hips. It all works together. And I know that I can tell you a little bit about that because I listened intently to every word Lisa told me and even hired her to help me. And the difference is phenomenal after what I went through. And I'll tell you more about that later. But rather than me just going on and on, Lisa is absolutely amazing. She's got years of experience in this industry. She is one of the very, very, very best. So if you're going to work with anybody, she is the one to go to. You always want to go to the best with anything, and she is the best. So I could brag on her all day long. I could paraphrase the things that she said, but rather than that, I'm going to bring Lisa on because she is amazing, and I want everybody to get to know her. And let's hear it from the expert, not some secondhand recant from me. So Lisa, thank you so much for joining us today. I am thrilled, thrilled, thrilled to have you. And as a posture specialist, I don't know if you could hear me from backstage, but tell us in your words exactly. I mean, I know the difference it's made in my life doing the exercises that you customized exercises, I should say, that you've worked out for me. But tell people a little bit about what is a posture specialist and why it's so important. And then maybe you could even share some of the things that you did at Duffy's with us, because you opened my mind and my eyes to just a better way of living. And I'm so grateful because I know that now, knowing these exercises and how to have that alignment, it's going to carry me forward in good health for years and years to come, so that getting old doesn't have to be deteriorating. Getting old I can be happy, healthy, and active as an older person. So now that I've been so excited telling everybody all about this, please share with us.
Thank you, Cassie. Thank you for this incredible introduction. Really, I'm honored to be here with you and sharing what I do with everybody. So my title it's a funny title. I'm a posture and alignment specialist and exercise therapist. I have a background in fitness, and I got involved in this because I'm homeopathic, but still eating healthy and not taking medication and being active. I love exercising. I had to move from one country to another, and the level of stress was very, very high. You all know that when you have stress, the muscles get really tight. You don't think straight. So you're not in a good spot. So I moved from one country to another. I had hundreds and hundreds of boxes, 3 little kids. And through the move, as I was moving a box or opening a box, I started with a lower back pain that lasted me for 10 years. I tried from physical therapy to all kinds of reduce inflammation medications. I went to see doctors. I had MRIs. Apparently, I had a bulging disc. So most
Oh,
doctors tell you don't move. And for me, don't move. There's no way I cannot move. I'm certified as an aerobic instructor, personal trainer, water instructor. There's no way I'm not going to move. So chiropractors, they're fantastic, but the results are not long term. That's the problem. I went to acupuncture. What an experience. I was with a Korean guy, wonderful human being, but still, it didn't last more than 4 days. I used to go to a park and hang myself upside down in the monkey bars. I used to put a belt on my legs so I wouldn't fall off because I needed to decompress the spine. It helped. The minute I went back on my feet, it came back. So through a book that I found from postural alignment, I did a routine of exercises that somebody told me. I fell in love with it. I found a therapist like I am right now that helped me analyze me, took pictures of me from the front, from the back, from the side, film me walking, had me do this funny exercises or movements that they're called functional movements. And I found out that I had something called an elevated hip and a rotated hip and torso. So
oops.
for me, I didn't know what it was. I just followed a routine and the pain started subsiding. It didn't happen in a week. It happened in a couple of months, but I did not have to go through surgery. And eventually the disc that was herniated, if anybody knows what a herniated disc is, we have like a little donut, right? Like a donut. And then we have the vertebrae and the donut and the vertebrae and the donut. So that little donut that has jelly inside, when the spine is crooked or turned, sometimes one side smashes and the liquid inside comes out. So that's
Mm.
what a herniated disc is. And it's very painful. It can radiate down to the legs. You can have numbness and burning and all kinds of things. So when my body started getting aligned, the space between my disc started opening out and the vertebrae and eventually the disc closed up and filled itself and
Wow.
recovered. So many doctors for years have believed that tissues could not heal on their own. They cannot regenerate. And they discovered that is not true. If you take the friction out of your body, the body has the ability to heal. So what that means is if you put your hand like this, everybody put your hand like this and start rubbing here. If you rub for 5 minutes, okay, area, like I stop already is a little red. But if I continue doing this, that's friction. I'm causing friction on the skin. If you keep doing this for hours and hours, and then day and two and a week and a month and years, this is going to end up, I don't know, the skin is going to open, the muscles are going to separate, the ligaments. So that's what friction is. And when someone is misaligned, there's friction in the area. Every time you move, there's friction. When you realign the body, this goes away. And the tissues have the ability to heal on their own with the right stimulus of movement. So postural alignment is exercises designed to your own needs and limitations. So not everybody's lower back pain has the same routine. It has other factors that are involved. And some of them even can be emotions. If you think of someone that is depressed, so someone that is depressed, their torso is like that. They can't
Yeah.
help it. Why? Because the emotions are here. And if they open up, they're going to release them. So you don't want to open them, the people that are depressed. There's also the position of the fighter, right? So someone that is always fighting and competitive, they're like that. So think of someone that is in the Olympics or someone that is very competitive in anything that they do, they tend to have that posture. So it's
Mhm.
opening from here, but it's confronting a lot of things. And then you get this interesting position where if you have, let me just move this here. So your torso has the ability to move, right? You can turn,
Mhm.
you can lean, you can go forward and back. But all of a sudden, sometimes what happens is that the torso stays like that and it's like stuck. It doesn't mean it doesn't move, but you will end up walking like this, sitting like that, leaning and picking up a paper like this. So imagine someone playing tennis in this position where the shoulders are not even and the muscles of the pectorals are not even. So if you rotate it, there's one side that is going to be working more than the other because the one behind has to go do this extra. So anybody that does one arm exercises or maybe exercises like swimming or tennis, if you are misaligned with the torso, eventually the muscles that need to be working don't work. And you end up working, for example, a tennis player that is rounded like this. Okay. Usually when you play tennis, I'm not a tennis player, but you got to use the muscles and all around your torso.
Yeah.
And if you're not straight and you're like that, what you're going to be working is the head of the shoulder. Eventually, this is going to get overworked and you're going to start having issues. So I want to share something with you, Cassie. I'm not really good with names. Maybe whoever plays tennis knows. I happened to see the final of the women tennis that it was the girl that the American, her name is Coco Gauff or something like that. And she was playing, and she was the number 6 in the category. And she was playing with the number 1, which she was a Russian girl. She was the number 1 in the world. But then as I was looking at the tennis, I ended up paying attention to her posture. I was in disbelief. She was like this. Her entire posture was like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was in shock. She's the number 1 tennis player woman in the world. How can she be like that? Well, you can be like that. That's not going to stop you from moving. It's going to end up injuring you because you're not in the proper position to do the exercise. So I've told Cassie, and I've told a lot of my clients, it's not the sport, it's the position of your body when you do the sport.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. So
and not just in sports, even day to day, because, you know, you had talked at our thing just about sitting and about how we tend to sit, you know, kind of with our back a little bit rounded, and we're sitting on the flesh area instead of our sitting bones. And I didn't even know there were sitting bones, but it was really cool because I started, you know, noticing more, okay, yeah, if I sit back with on the sitting bones, then I don't feel the strain on my back. When I sit like this, I do feel the strain on my back. And when you get a lot of us that work behind a computer a number of hours a day, and as we get older, we lose our muscle mass. And so we don't automatically get held up anymore. We have to actively, you know, find out which muscles are weak, which is where you come in, so that we can strengthen those so that it automatically holds us up. So we're not constantly trying to, because I know at first I was like, oh, this is great. I know the ears align over the shoulders, sit on the sitting bones. And that was great when I was thinking about it and focusing on it. But I wasn't doing it automatically until I started, you know, doing some of the exercises you gave me to where those muscles automatically do that for me. And I don't have to constantly have that in the forefront of my mind. So
the interesting thing is something that you said, Casey, that when you age, let me tell you something. There is an American woman. She's 105 years old. She used to be a gymnast in the Olympics. Until today, I'm sure some of you have seen it on Facebook or Instagram. If not, I'll send it to you. You can share it on the page. She's 105. She still does this crazy things in the bars. Of course, not with the grace of someone that is 20, but the woman keeps moving. So the lesson here is the belief that because you age, you need to lose height. That's not true. A doctor measures you vertically. Whatever you bring to the front is not going to be measured. So if you're rounded, you're going to lose inches. The inches are not going anywhere. They're not going on the truck and they're not going to evaporate. The inches are forward instead of being vertical. So when you align the torso and you bring the curves of the spine where they belong, We all have three curves. We have one in the neck, right? That is convex. We actually have the same one. I don't know if you can see it here, but you kind of have like the same one here on the lower back in the same direction of your neck, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you have the mid back, which is kind of like in the opposite, but not too rounded. When you
Right.
look at the spine as a whole, it actually looks like the letter S from the bottom to the middle to the neck. Mhm.
Mhm.
That we have those curves because there's a reason. We are the only mammal animal, that actually has a spine with curves at rest. So what that means is a cat and a snake can move in all crazy directions. When they're resting, the spine is straight. Ours is not. Even when we sleep, the curves don't disappear unless you sit forever like that and you round your lower back like that for hours. Believe me, your body's going to memorize this because you're here longer. Your body says, I'm not dumb. She wants this. I'm going to keep that. Why should I go to the natural way when I was born if she's doing this for 10 hours, 5 days a week, 10 years?
Yeah, the body's adapting to these poor habits.
Exactly. So what we do in postural alignment is we return the natural curves of the spine, the ones that you were born with, your design, right? Unless you were born with some
Mhm.
kind of disease, which is not the case here. And then another thing that we do is we realign the joints. So we have a lot of joints, but we have mainly four basic ones: the shoulders, right?
Mhm.
The hips, the knees, and the
Mhm.
ankles, right? The ankles. Those are important to
Yes.
consider. So those are the four joints, and they need to be stuck one on top of the other, like books. When you stand in the supermarket or the bank, or when you walk in the park, or when you run, or when you do whatever. When the body is leaning into one side, or it's forward, or is back too much, right? There's misalignment,
Yeah.
deviations, and those long term, when you put demand, they hurt. So if you're a person that you're sitting in the computer for hours, you're probably not going to notice up here because you're never up here. We end up being in a box. That's our
Mhm.
life. But then one day, you're looking for the pickle bottle in the pantry, and it's all the way in the top. So you get the ladder, and when you want to reach, it's like, oh my God, I can't. I'm limited.
Mhm.
Misalignment and lack of mobility cause limitation, physical limitation. And who wants to live like that? You want to be able to do everything. You have grandchildren, Cassie?
I do.
You sit on the floor with them and play cars, or I don't know,
As long as I
Monopoly.
can, but I like that bending over thing with them. I'm like, "Can we do it on the table, please?"
Okay, so imagine, can you sit on the floor with your legs cross-legged on the floor with your grandchildren?
As long as I don't have to bend over to work on things on the floor, I can sit, but yeah.
Okay, so we were designed to move. Age
Mhm.
doesn't say when you're 70, you can't do this. When you're
Yeah.
80, you can't do this. That's just like a mental belief. It's the
No, and I
truth.
love that you're saying this because this is definitely a rabbit hole that I wanna go down. And I know that's an expression, going down the rabbit hole, but it's true because we do consider limited mobility with aging, but it doesn't have to be that way if we keep our alignment, if we take care of it. And so when we have these associations, it's because I believe that when we're younger and we're more muscular, we're running around, we're running after the kids, we're doing more things. As we get older, we tend to slow down a little bit more. But the big thing is, just because you're going slower doesn't mean you have to lose your mobility, your flexibility, and have all those limitations as long as you're putting your focus back on it. So if we're not naturally doing the movement, we have to just really set the intention of doing those movements to strengthen ourselves. And this is where I was surprised at how the system that you brought me through, the procedure you brought me through, it showed things that I would never have found. Like, one of the things I know that when you work with Lisa, notice how I said when, because I really believe everybody needs to, do it now rather than later. Don't wait until these limitations get so bad that you're feeling like you're 80 or 90, because honestly, there are 80 or 90-year-olds who feel better than you if they follow this procedure. And I loved the way that it was okay. We did certain things. One of them was walking in place and then stopping. And I noticed that, well, you noticed, I didn't notice until you pointed out to me that I tend to put my legs a little bit to the side, kind of in a stance like, okay, I'm anchoring myself, is what my mind was thinking. I'm anchoring myself. I've got a good stance here. But doing that over time, not having them stacked up, you were talking about everything being stacked up one on top of the other. That's going to cause issues and problems. And that's why we've got so many knee replacements, so many hip replacements going on now, some of those major joints that are being lined up, because that's where the weight is. We don't have a lot of weight on our shoulders, but we do our hips and our knees. And with that, I would not even have realized the stress that that's causing. And so tell us a little bit about the routine you take people through to diagnose them, and and then what would you do to solve that? Because I just fell in love with the process of, this just makes so much sense.
Okay. So I don't know if we can share anything on the screen or not, or just you want me to talk? I'm
Um,
not sure.
I'll have you talk for now. Well, do you have something on the bottom that says present where you can go to screen share, or is that just on mine as the host?
No, setting. Present could be.
Yeah, click present. And then the last one should be share screen.
Okay. Let me just give me 1 second. Let me just
Sure.
what I need. Hold on. All right. So I want to show you guys something so you can understand a little bit. Where is it? Hold on. Wait, I have it in Spanish. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to find it in English. I should have.
See.
Okay, no, this is not it. I was trying to find it in a different language. Give me 1 second. I am so sorry for this. Okay, I think I found it. Okay, I found it in English. Found what I needed. All right,
Great.
let me go here and share.
And we're trying something new, so let's see if this works. I'm relatively new to StreamYard, so I always
Share
love learning new tricks.
screen sharing work best on computer. I don't know. Share screen. Okay, here we go. Allow. Okay, can you see this page?
There we go, adding it.
Sharing.
It's up on screen. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see it. Can you?
Okay, perfect. Yes.
Okay, so
It looks beautiful.
all right, so what we have here, I don't know if I can move it. All right, so we have 6 posture deviations. I don't know if I can get this a little bigger. Hold on.
Okay, if you want to go bigger, give me a second.
I have to move it. The thing that the page doesn't move. It's okay. So we have, I'm just going to show you what you can see, at least the first 2. So the body has the, can you still see it? Yeah.
There we
So
go.
the body has, because of emotions and bad habits and levels of stress, and believe it or not, lack of proper digestion, hydration. You wouldn't think, huh? Like I don't go to the bathroom so often. It will affect your posture, definitely. So, yep,
Oh.
digestion, hydration, sleep, levels of stress, bad habits, lack of mobility. the body moves in all kinds of different directions. So, for example, let me give you just the example of 4. There's 6 really positions. Let me see if I can move this. No. All right. So, for example, number 4 is excessive flexion. So, what I want you to see is this: we are supposed to be vertical. The shoulder needs to be in line with the hip, and the knees and the ankles. Those are the basic alignment joints. But in this position, the shoulder of this man is in front of the hip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The pelvis looks pretty good. The hip looks pretty good, but the knees are bent and they're forward, and the ankles are aligned. So in this position, the hip and the ankles are in line, the knee not. So the ankle is going to do a lot of the work because the joints are too far apart. The 3 of them need to be working as one. Now the torso, as the torso is forward and the shoulders forward, this spine doesn't look like a letter S. See, there's no S here.
No.
It's gone. This curve is gone. This looks more like a letter C, right? The letter
Yes.
C is the rounding. So when this is in this position, there's no arch in your lower back and the head is forward. So do you know, Casey, how heavy is the head?
20 pounds?
Not really. The head is about 5 kilos. When the head is aligned on top of the spine, what supports the head is the pelvis. The head up here is floating because the last vertebrae on the neck, the cervical, it's called the atlas that connects to the head. It's not glued to the head. It's like floating. It's like those little dolls that they have in baseball that you move it and the head goes like that.
Uh-huh.
So like that. So the head is floating. And when the spine is aligned, the pelvis is the one that holds the spine. But when the spine is forward and the head is forward, within an inch and a half forward from the pelvis, automatically the lower back becomes the one that carries the spine.
Oh, I keep moving as you're saying these things because it's like people are like, going, "What's wrong with Cassie?" But it's like you know how when you move your head forward and I'm doing this. So
So
yeah, no,
if
I totally
you
get it.
move
I can
your
relate.
spine exactly 1.5, 2 inches forward from the alignment of the pelvis, automatically the lower back muscles start working and contracting to hold the spine because the lower back thinks that you're going to fall forward. So the entire thing goes into contraction, the lower back. Now think of the head here. If you're moving forward within about 3 inches, the weight of the head becomes double. So this guy has about a head distance. The head needs to be here.
Wow.
Okay, so
Wow, that's
when the
double,
body is
over double.
aligned, when the body is aligned, pelvis supports spine.
Mhm.
Spine supports head through the pelvis. When you lose it, then muscles in the body that are not supposed to do that end up doing job that is not theirs. So I always think of a secretary that the other secretary got COVID and she got sick for 3 weeks, but the one that's in the office has her job and the other secretary's job, and then there's a convention, and then she has to work on Sunday. Eventually, what's going to happen to the secretary?
She's gonna get burnt out.
Yeah. So that's what's going to happen with the body. But the body doesn't burn out. The body doesn't say, I quit. The body says, I hurt, help,
Yeah,
pain, pain, pain. That's what the body
yeah,
does. And it keeps
yeah.
on moving even with pain.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much what I wanted to explain you a little bit. Nobody is straight. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. But any kind of deviation that you have has to be small enough that it doesn't interfere with your daily life and you can have a quality life with no pain and low limitation. There's no reason why a person should have limitation in their body and live with pain. You don't have to. You choose.
Isn't that great, everybody? You don't have to live with pain, and you don't have to have surgeries to correct it, and you don't have to have injections to correct it, and you don't have to take supplements that don't work or give you very minimal relief. Turmeric is wonderful, and it does reduce inflammation, but when you have an injury over years and years of wear and tear, it's not going to do that much because you're not correcting the problem. It might bring down some of that inflammation, but you're still rubbing that skin, rubbing it raw because you haven't corrected the problem. And even little things like one hip being higher than the other, you won't know it unless you work with Lisa and she takes the pictures and she lines that up on a grid and she shows you and she runs it through a time tested, proven system that knows based on how your alignment is, how you're walking, how you stand, how you stand naturally when you get done walking. All of those things combined together, she comes up with a perfect customized program just for you. And I remember I did my first session with you and then I thought, well, why don't I just keep doing these, exercises? But I had corrected some things and then we found other things. We found that I kind of slightly lean forward to one side and I slightly lean forward this way. And it might just be my A personality always wanting to go. But at the same time, that doesn't serve me. And at first, I started being mindful along with the exercises and it felt awkward. But now it feels like, but you know what? There's no pressure when I walk this way. And it's absolutely life changing because nobody should have to live in pain. And, prolonged pain that affects your state of mind, it affects the quality of life. And we're here, we want to enjoy every single day. And you don't enjoy your days when you're in pain. So that's why that's so important. And what advice can you give the listener other than call Lisa now and book that appointment? And I've got to tell you, most people won't put up a phone number, but Lisa says call her. She wants to talk to you. She wants to. We do have an email that we'll put up. We'll give you her website if you want to learn more. But Lisa, what advice can you give the viewers other than, of course, you need a session? It's so worth it because a session now is going to save you pain later and keep you in alignment so that who knows, maybe you'll be on the monkey bars when you're 105 too, right?
What I would like to tell them is the following. As you get older, for some strange reason, we move less. So if you don't like exercises, you don't like to move, yoga is not your thing, Pilates is not your thing, and the activity that you did when you were a kid is much less now, it's a choice that you're making. But the people that come to see me for postural alignment, it's not only for people with pain. Postural alignment is for people that have pain or don't have pain. Also for people that want to increase their mobility, their flexibility, and even high intensity athletes that have a lot of demand. For them, 10 seconds is a lot. You tell a cyclist or a runner, what is 10 seconds for them? So you can improve your performance as an athlete. You can get more flexibility, mobility. The routine of exercises are designed for each person depending on their needs, pain, or limitation. And the wonderful thing is that we work the entire body from the head to the toe. I don't treat just so you have ankle pain. I don't treat the area of pain. I treat the root cause of the pain is probably coming from the hip or from the opposite shoulder. So when you work with me, every exercise has a reason, has a specific order. You don't do the exercise 1 and then the 8. The order the sequence has a reason. There's a lot of, I am based on what we call the Egoscue method that they have at this point, Golden Seal research that can prove what this does. And you get a routine that works your entire body. Entire.
Well, and
if you don't want to do anything, do the exercises twice a day or maybe once a day. You'll work every part of your body.
Well, and I love that you said about athletes too. And it's not just about pain. Athletes can improve performance. And if they just shave a little bit of time off, those little shaves add up to being a winner or not. But what about preventative? what about, I mean, if you're going to be working out, why not do the exercises that are best for you? Just like I know my mom's going to be going to a holistic doctor who is going to take all of her labs and then develop a customized, supplement routine based on what my mom needs. We tend to just go, oh, vitamin C is good for you. Let me pop some. Oh, I need some, energy. I need B. You might already have enough B. And this is the same thing too for preventative. And if you're going to exercise, why not do the exercises that are best for you, customized for you to keep you in that good state? And I do want to say that what I love is there are two sets of exercise. So if I've only got 15 minutes to work out in the morning, I can do the shorter set and it truncates that so that I have time to do it. And because I know a lot of times if there's a long exercise routine, and I didn't realize that at first, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm not doing them anyway. And it's easy to become complacent. But with a 15-minute routine, there's no excuse. So even if I've done a 15-minute routine 5 days in a row, then I might jump to on a day where I've got more time, the longer one to get all of it in. But it just, I love the whole system that you have. And I love working with you anyway, but I just love the way that it's for everybody. It's for anybody with a spine. That means all of us. Yeah. And it's for every lifestyle, whether it's somebody younger, older, somebody active, not active, somebody in pain, not in pain. And I love that you've got exercises that are, yes, here you go. And not only that, that there is equipment that you can use. Like one of the ones I loved is when I would have my feet and I would go like this with my feet. And you've
Slap
got
it.
special boards for that, but I can use my yoga blocks. So all of these things can be done with, you can get that equipment and have, okay, I've got all this cool equipment, or you can just use some of your at home things. So it doesn't even require anything extra. Just get creative around the house. And I know you were great with showing me, oh, use that chair. She came to my house and use that chair, use this. And I know you also have in person as well as Zoom because you are international. You travel from country to country. She's that good. And, but you are able to do things on Zoom with people and help people from anywhere. So tell us a little bit more about the best way to reach out to you, the best way to work with you to set that up and, get an evaluation. How does that work? Do they call? I mean, I knew I was all in with you, so I just set the appointment, but do you do evaluations or work with people to say, oh yeah, I could definitely work with you? I mean, I know it's for everybody, but not everybody believes everything is for them. So tell me more about that first connection process.
Of course. So I offer a 20-minute free assessment where what I
Nice.
do is I can see the person. It's usually in Zoom, the assessment, unless
Mhm.
you come to my house. The sessions can be in person or they can be in Zoom. I accommodate to the person's needs and times. A normal session is an hour and a half. An assessment is 20 minutes. What I do is I write down all the information that I need to know. I have pain. It happened when I was 5 years old, and this is what happened. Or when I sit down, I feel this. Then I take pictures through the screen
Mhm.
and I show the person the alignment and what is happening. So I teach you, I give you the tools to see how does an aligned person look and how do you look? And you see it. You
Yeah.
see it through the page that I show you, you
Mhm.
actually can see it. And when you see it, then I give you the option if you want to continue working with me or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Doctors are fantastic. They have a lot of knowledge, but they don't know anything about posture. Surgeon is going to do surgery,
Mhm.
okay? Is not going to send you with someone that does posture alignment. I
Yeah.
would go to a doctor if I have a car accident and my ankle is destroyed, or my hip, I don't know what, or I need a hip replacement, or the tissue has worn out so much that the recovery without the surgery it's too painful. So sometimes surgery is needed, but postural alignment can go after the surgery. So
Yeah.
I can do the assessment. The session takes an hour and a half. I am very approachable. I'm very compassionate, and I'm here for anybody. Anybody. I work with people in countries like Taiwan, Dubai, London, Mexico, the United States. So all those people, unless I'm there, they have a Zoom session. But if not, if I'm in the States, I live in Florida, I live in the area of Aventura, you can always have a session with me if I'm around, or we can schedule it in person if you want. It's the same thing in person and in Zoom. Yeah. There's no manipulation. I don't massage anybody. There is no.
Sorry, you have to go to my friend Laura for that.
I will maybe touch your hip and say, move it this way. But there's no physical manipulation of any kind. That's why I can work in Zoom very well.
Yeah, no doubt.
I want to give everybody a tip of how to sit down. You want to do that? I brought a chair.
Yes.
I brought a chair. Okay, let me get the other chair. And maybe I can put this here. Hold on. I'm going to have to move this. Let's see. Okay. All right, let me put it here away from the name. No, here. Okay, so most people, when they sit in the computer, they have a tendency of doing this. So if you remember what I told you, that the pelvis holds the spine, okay, I'm just moving my arm so you can see. When you sit like this, the spine's going to follow. Why? Because the spine is the sacrum, which is here, right, is the base of the spine, but it's also what unites the hips. So you can never separate the spine from the pelvis. Never. There's impossible. So what I want you to do is I want you to put your hands underneath your butt. So go ahead, everybody. Find a chair. And what I want you to do is I want you to move your pelvis back and forward. And I want you to feel that huge bone underneath you. Okay, that huge bone is what we call the ischium, which is really called the sitting bone in English. Okay, so when you're sitting rounded, the bone is like hidden inside. Because when you're rounded, you're not sitting on your sitting bone, you're sitting on your tailbone. The bottom of your spine, that's where you're sitting. When you sit forward and you roll your hips forward, you're going to feel your bones. That means you're sitting on them, and you can actually, your hands feel heavy. So that's when you're sitting on your sitting bones. So you take your hands out and you put your hands in your hips. Put your hands on your hips. This is the hip bone. This is on top of the sitting bone. When you're rounded, this is not on top, it's behind. When you're sitting on your sitting bones, your pelvis is straight. Hips and sitting bones are vertical. Automatically, the spine understands where to be in space, and it goes straight up. So this is the way you should sit when you go to the movies. I don't care if your feet are hanging. Sit like this. Movies, theater. When you're in the couch, I'm not going to say that you're never going to be with your legs like this. Of course you are. But if you're going to sit back, try to sit like this. Now, when you're on your computer, okay, I usually, let me show you something. I put something underneath it. I'm going to show you something that I have. It's one of my pieces of equipment as a sample, but this is what lifts my computer. If I keep my computer level, I might end up rounding my spine. Okay, so I have one of these. Really, the ones that I have are blue for my company, but this is what I put underneath my computer. So if you want to put one of those yellow pages, if they still exist in your house, no, or if you want to use maybe like a stack of books or maybe blankets, I mean, be creative. Lift your computer. Your computer needs to look like this, not like this. Okay, so when I put my thing here, my block, this is the height of my computer. Of course, I'm going to lean, but I'm not like this. It's high enough that my hands are like here, you know, and I don't have to lean. So lift your computer, sit on your sitting bones. If you can bring your chair really close to you and your feet are hanging, I don't care, as long as your
Mhm.
spine is straight.
Yeah.
So if you sit for hours and hours working, I'm not telling you not to use your computer. Just do some changes to modify the position. Okay, I've heard a lot of desks that are high desk and people stand up. If you already have a dysfunction or deviation, you're already leaning or you have a shoulder elevated or there's already something going on, it's going to still be there when you stand up. It's not going to change it.
Yeah.
So we got to fix that first. Then you can go and you stand in with one of those movable standing desk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Lisa, this has been absolutely wonderful. I'm going to put it's painfreeatsea.com. It's lisa.nudel at painfreeatsea.com. But I'm just going to put the number up because she's opening up to you saying, call me. I'll give you 20 minutes. Let's talk about this. But you know what? There's a saying, you pay now or you pay later. And if you pay later, it's always with interest. So just put in the time now to get these personalized exercises that will keep you happy, healthy, strong, and keep your core centered and aligned the way it should be. Trust me, it's made a huge difference in my life. I used to have, because I had an accident where my C5, C6 was thrown out. And after doing these exercises, that doesn't bother me at all anymore, at all. And I can't tell you what a difference it is to not always be going, oh, I can get on with living my life, with engaging with people. So to me, it's one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves over supplements, over many of the other things that people do. I see friends of mine going through hip operations, and I'm like, call Lisa first. So I know some of them, they're like, oh, it's bone on bone and everything. But you know what? You don't know how much better it's going to be until you go through this process. And wouldn't you rather do it in a gentler way? Do it in an easier way that's not going to leave scar tissue and extra problems that are going to come up that might be harder to resolve later because now you've got scar tissue in that area. So definitely, please, please, please reach out to Lisa Nudel. And anything else to say before we say goodbye, Lisa?
Love yourself, prevent yourself injury. When you are aligned, you can do anything. When you're not aligned, you can get injured very easy. My thing is, next time you run on the rain and you need to jump on a puddle, pay attention if you always choose the same leg to jump it. If you do, you're favoring one side. It has nothing to do with right or left. It has to do with alignment. The body is very smart. It's always going to go to the side of the body that they can trust. Your body will trust. It will always favor the side that is functional. So I would love to help you. I'm here for you. Anything that you need, any question, any concern, let me know. It doesn't matter what old you are. As long as your heart is beating, you can be aligned and you can heal yourself from the inside out and get a better quality of your life. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Really, it's been incredible to be able to share this with you. Thank you so much.
Well, and thank you so much for sharing this expertise, this important expertise with everybody. And this is airing in the Public Spiritual Entrepreneurs Alliance group, as well as the Private Spiritual Entrepreneurs Alliance. And after it's aired there, we keep it up for about 24 hours, and then it gets retired to what we call the Vault of Knowledge, to be forever immortalized, Lisa. And what that is we've got the Spiritual Entrepreneurs Alliance. Don't let the word entrepreneurs fool you. It's just for people that have a really good heart, people that want to learn and grow together. But we also understand that through growing your business, we can give back to others. We all have important messages. We all have important, things that we want to share to contribute and leave our legacy. And in our group is designed around doing weekly healing modalities. So once a week, we've got either a connecting with your intuition. We just had a beautiful spiritual heart song that just Shirley Hubalik just did for us, using music and sound and voice to connect with spirit. We've got a sound healing, a Reiki sound healing that we do once a month. And then I do and again, I want to spotlight my members. So our members do those things. And then I do a free hypnosis meditation every month for our group. In addition to that, we've got 2 masterminds every month so that people can ask questions, get feedback from each other, learn and grow together, because it's always better together, right? And then we have these beautiful guest experts like Lisa, and we're building a library, a collection where we've got 37 meditations now, as well as guest experts from all over the world that are sharing their wisdom with us. So all of this is included in our membership. If you're not a member, then definitely you're going to want to come and find out a little bit more about joining what I call our high vibe tribe, because alone we're strong, but together we're unstoppable. So please check that out after you call Lisa. And I just want to thank everybody for being here today and listening to this, because to me it's so important. So for now, have a beautiful day, everybody. And Lisa, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing, be part of my world, being part of this community.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.